Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. 2. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. 3. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. 4. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. 5. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day. 6. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate waters from water." 7. So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. And it was so. 8. God called the vault sky, and there was evening, and there was morning the second day. 9. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. 10. God called the dry ground land, and gathered waters he called seas, and God saw that it was good. 11. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the lands that bear fruits with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. 12. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seeds according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruits with seed in it, according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. 13. And there was evening, and there was morning the third day. 14. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times, and days and years." 15. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give lights under the earth. 14. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as the signs to mark the sacred times, and days and years." 15. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give lights on the earth. And it was so. 16. God made two great lights, the greater lights to govern the day, and the lesser lights to govern the night. He also made the stars. 17. God set them in the vaults of the sky to give lights on the earth. 18. To govern the day and the nights, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning the fourth day. 20. And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." 21. So God created the great creatures of the sea, and every living thing with which the water teems, and that moves above in it, according to their kinds, and every winged birds according to its kinds. And God saw that it was good. 22. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the water of the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." 23. And there was evening, and there was morning the fifth day. Verse 24. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. Verse 25. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Verse 26. Then God said, Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and all over the creatures that move along the ground. Verse 27. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. Verse 28. God blessed them and said to them, Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Verse 29. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plants on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. Verse 30. And all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has breath of life in it, I give you every green plant for food. And it was so. Verse 31. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, then sixth day. Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. Verse 2. By the seventh day God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day he rested from all his work. Verse 3. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. Verse 4. This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created, when the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. Verse 5. Now no shrub had yet appeared on the earth, and no plant had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no one to work the ground. Verse 6. But stream came up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. Verse 7. Then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Verse 8. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden, and there he put the man he had formed. Verse 9. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Verse 10. A river watering the garden flowed from Eden. From there it was separated into 4 headwaters. Verse 11. The name of the first is the Pishon. It went through the entire lands of the Havilah, where there is gold. Verse 12. The gold of that land is good. Aromatic resin and oxen are also there. Verse 13. The name of the second river is the Gihon. It went through the entire lands of Cush. Verse 14. The name of the third river is the Tigris. It runs along the east side of Asher, and the fourth river is the Euphrates. Verse 15. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. Verse 16. And the Lord God commanded the man, You are free to eat from any tree in the garden. Verse 17. But you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it you will certainly die. Verse 18. The Lord God said, It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. Verse 19. Now the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the wild animals and all the birds in the sky. He brought names to the man to see what he would name them. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. Verse 20. So the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds in the sky, and all the wild animals. But for Adam, no suitable helper was found. Verse 21. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs and then closed up the place with flesh. Verse 22. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. Verse 23. The man said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. Verse 24. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Verse 25. Adam and his wife were both naked, and they were filled no shame. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, Did God really say, You must not eat from any tree in the garden? Verse 2. The woman said to the serpent, We may eat fruit from the trees in the garden. Verse 3. But God did say, You must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die. Verse 4. You will not certainly die, the serpent said to the woman. Verse 5. For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. Verse 6. When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it. Verse 7. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. Verse 8. Then the man and his wife heard the sounds of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. Verse 9. But the Lord God called to the man, Where are you? Verse 10. He answered, I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid. Verse 11. And he said, Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from? Verse 12. The man said, The woman you put her with me, she gave me some fruits from the tree, and I ate it. Verse 13. Then the Lord God said to the woman, What is this you have done? The woman said, The serpent deceived me, and I ate. Verse 14. So the Lord God said to the serpent, Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and all wild animals. You will crawl on your belly, and you will eat dust all the days of your life. Verse 15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. Verse 16. To the woman he said, I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. Verse 17. To Adam he said, "Because you listened to your wife and eat fruit from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat from it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toils you will eat food from it all the days of your life." Verse 18. "It will produce thorns and thistle for you, and you will eat the plants of the field." Verse 19. "By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you will return." Verse 20. Adam named his wife Eve, because she would become the mother of all the living. Verse 21. The Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. Verse 22. And the Lord God said, "The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hands and take also from the tree of life and eat, and live forever." Verse 23. So the Lord God vanished him from the gardens of Eden toward the grounds from which he had been taken. Verse 24. After he drove the man out, he placed on the east sides of the gardens of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life.